Today, we're witnessing a full-scale Grade A meltdown in the West. It seems the yellow peril has found a new home in Silicon Valley. And the boogeyman this time isn't a weather balloon or a TikTok algorithm. It's a software model named Kimi. The reaction to China's latest technological leap isn't just one of concern. It's reached a fever pitch of ideological panic, with major outlets now screaming about AI communism. Mainstream media like The Telegraph are leading the charge, framing the rise of Chinese AI as a civilizational struggle for the very operating systems through which people live, work, and obey. Meanwhile, Dean Ball, a high-level executive at OpenAI and former Trump administration official, has taken to social media to warn that China's strategy of treating AI as a public good is nothing short of a dystopian hellscape. But while these figures are busy clutching their pearls, a bombshell investigation by Taylor Lorenz at Wired has revealed that this fear isn't entirely organic. Shady dark money groups in the US are actually paying TikTok influencers thousands of dollars to scaremonger and spread anti-China messaging about AI. Today we'll go beyond the propaganda to see why the West is kicking up such a stink about Chinese AI. This is Reports on China. I'm Andy Borham here in Shanghai. Let's get reporting. So what exactly is Kimi and why is it causing such a stir? Developed by Moonshot AI, a startup led by the brilliant young engineer Yang Zhilin, Kimi K3 isn't just another chatbot. It's a model that has effectively closed the gap with the West's frontier models, and it's done so with bewildering speed. The popularity of Kimi was so immediate that it caught even its own developers off guard, as CNN Business explains. The latest Chinese AI model making waves was developed by a lesser-known startup called Moonshot AI. And just 2 days after launch, Moonshot suspended new subscriptions after demand overwhelmed its computing capacity. The unexpected enthusiasm for Moonshot's Kimi K3 model stems from its ability to match and, in some cases, outperform its most advanced US competitors, such as the latest iterations of OpenAI's ChatGPT and Anthropic's Claude for free. Now its rise is intensifying an already contentious race between the US and China to dominate cutting-edge AI. And this wasn't just a local success. The Times reported that Kimi is essentially a threat to the multi-billion-dollar valuations of US giants like Anthropic and OpenAI because it tops benchmarks at a fraction of Western costs. The sheer efficiency of the rollout has rattled the industry belief that you need hundreds of billions of dollars in US-controlled data centers to achieve top-tier intelligence. But naturally, when the West sees a superior, more efficient product coming out of China, it doesn't try to compete on price or openness. It pivots to ideology. The Telegraph has led the charge with some of the most sensationalist framing we've seen in recent years. In a piece titled, "Xi's AI Communism Sparks New Era for Made in China," they describe the situation as a civilizational struggle. For both Washington and Beijing, this is civilizational. Their future prosperity and their ability to shape the world is at stake. The way people use and interact with AI is becoming increasingly important and really defining people's lives. So the race to build and install computing infrastructure and to set global AI standards is really a contest between the United States and China to build the operating systems through which people live, work, and obey. Notice that language, operating systems through which people obey. The fear isn't about the technology itself, it's that if China sets the standard, the US loses its ability to control the global digital narrative. CNN Business detailed how US officials have already moved from competition to accusations of theft, without providing a shred of evidence that stands up to any scrutiny. US officials and Anthropic have again accused Moonshot of distilling American models, a technique in which one AI model is trained using outputs from another. We have information that Moonshot AI distilled Anthropic's fable for the development of its K3 model, said Michael Kratsios, director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. Sarah Heck, Anthropic's policy head, echoed Kratsios in an X post that accused Moonshot of engaging in IP theft and industrial espionage, calling it a national challenge that creates serious national security risks. So why the sudden labels of communism? Well, it comes down to a fundamental difference in how these two countries view technology. In the US, the leading models from OpenAI and Google are what they call closed weight. They are proprietary black boxes that you have to pay to access, while the keys remain firmly in the hands of a few Silicon Valley billionaires. Now, China, by contrast, has embraced open weight models. This means the model parameters are freely downloadable. Anyone can inspect them, run them on their own servers, and modify them. Most leading Chinese models are released as open weight. The model parameters can be freely downloaded, inspected, run locally or on private infrastructure, fine-tuned and modified. This supports self-hosting, customization, and broader experimentation. The person who popularized the phrase AI communism, however unoriginal of a term it is a man named D.W. Ball. Now, it's important to know who Dean is. He's currently a senior executive at OpenAI, a leading closed model lab. He also happened to draft the Trump administration's AI action plan. Very interesting. He's a man with a very specific, very biased institutional interest in making sure proprietary models remain the dominant force in the market. In a series of tweets on July 17 this year, Ball laid out his vision of why China's openness is actually a threat. He wrote, "One probable outcome of an open weight model dominant world is full AI communism, which is precisely what China proposes. Rather than a market product, AI is a public good which will ultimately be provided by the state as a kind of digital public infrastructure. This future strikes me as a dystopian hellscape." Well, let's just pause right there. So a world where powerful technology is shared freely as public infrastructure, available to everyone for the betterment of society, is described as a dystopian hellscape by a man whose company wants to charge you for every single word their AI generates. To a Silicon Valley executive, dystopia apparently means lower profit margins. He's essentially arguing that if the public gets access to these models for free, the big corporations won't want to spend money on them anymore. But here is where it gets truly sinister. It's one thing for an executive to tweet his opinions. It's another for dark money groups to secretly pay influencers to brainwash the public. Taylor Lorenz's investigation in Wired revealed a coordinated campaign by a group called Build American AI, which is linked to a $100 million super PAC bankrolled by tech figures affiliated with companies like, you guessed it, OpenAI. The campaign pays lifestyle influencers, often mothers, to talk about China as a threat while they're doing mundane tasks. Wired describes the scheme. Marketing agencies are pitching influencers deals such as $5,000 per TikTok video to amplify Build American AI's messaging about how China's technological rise should be seen as a threat. The goal is to subtly shift public debate by framing China's AI advancement as a serious risk to the safety and well-being of Americans. Sample messaging provided by Build American AI to content creators includes lines like, "I just learned that China's trying really hard to beat the US in AI. If they do, it could mean that China gets personal data from me and my kids and takes jobs that should be here in the US. In the AI innovation race, I'm Team USA." Wow, that is truly the definition of astroturfing. These influencers often do not disclose exactly who's paying them, and the public is left thinking their favorite TikToker is just a concerned patriot, when in reality, they are a paid mouthpiece for a corporate-funded anti-China campaign. As one media studies professor put it, this is literally propaganda. So why is the West so scared? Is it really about security? Or is it simply that the American tech giants are terrified of a world where they can't gatekeep the most important technology of the 21st century? We've seen this pattern before. When Europe faced a deadly heatwave recently, it was Chinese industrial capacity, the very thing the West calls overcapacity, that sent the air conditioners that saved lives. Now, as we enter the AI era, China is applying that same logic of mass-scale, affordable production to intelligence itself. The West calls it AI communism because they can't handle a world where AI is a public utility rather than a corporate monopoly. They'd rather pay TikTokers to scare you about your data than admit that China is simply matching supply to demand as efficiently as possible. Ultimately, the frantic media meltdown over Kimi K3 isn't about safeguarding your data or your democracy. It's the desperate final stand of a corporate elite, terrified that the era of the high-priced, proprietary gatekeeper is finally coming to an end. And on that note, that will be all for today, you guys. But as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Would you rather have AI as a free public good or a high-priced corporate monopoly? And is the threat of Chinese AI real, or is it just some propaganda paid for by Silicon Valley? Do let me know down below, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help the channel. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.